Okay, well, bright sunny day here in Houston. But today, this weekend anyway, maybe longer than just one day, we're going to be installing this exhaust manifold and new set of gaskets, new studs on my Raptor because it's got a broken stud. I found a stud laying in the driveway a week or so ago, and I don't know what I did with it. I was going to show it to you, but it's got a little exhaust leak now, and I need to get that fixed. So we're going to work on that this weekend. Because I'm going to be working around the starter, the first thing I always do is disconnect the battery. I just went ahead and disconnected the battery completely, positive and negative, just to be on the safe side. You also have to remove these 3 electrical connections. Don't disconnect them, just pull the little Christmas trees, little white tree plastic connections that are there. You're good to go to remove the inner fender. No, yeah, there you go. Now to pull the outside piece. Okay, you got it. There's one more up there in the top. Maybe I'll lay that down. Does that help? Now, removing this plastic fender flare, all you need is a good pry bar. I put some blue tape along my fender just to keep from scratching it up, but once you get one end, the front end started, you can kind of pop it off by just pulling. Some of these yellow Christmas trees stay in the fender, some stay in the flare. You'll see them when they come out. Now at the very back of the fender, you're going to see these black plastic connections. There's one on the side here that you can see came out, and then just looking at this, trying to figure out how it works, you notice there's a kind of extrusion on the plastic fender, and that goes up underneath there, right there. It goes into that hole in that little plastic thing. So the way to work those is to actually pull them out, put them in the fender flare, and then snap it all back together. But the Ford engineers really wanted this fender to stay on. And now that we have the plastic fender removed, you can see the screws that hold the outer edge of the inner fender to the metal fender. The tire bolts, tire nuts, split nuts, boards are hard. Oh, okay. Did we take that one out? It didn't have one. I didn't get it. Oh, that must have been, so this one. And then we skipped one and this one. And then we took this one. That's the one we did take loose. So they skip every other one. Okay. After we got the inner fender well fully removed, we spent the rest of the day just trying to figure out how to get this exhaust manifold off of this Raptor. And it was not going to be easy.
Okay, so I'm going to take those two off. I'm going to take the ground wire off. I'm going to take off the exhaust on both sides. It's a tight bit there. I may have to take that loose, and I'm hoping I don't have to take that loose, because then I have to pull this and that. And then these. None of which sounds enjoyable.
So after hours of online research and laying under the truck, staring at how it was built, I decided to change directions. I was not going to replace the whole exhaust manifold and any broken studs that I got. I was going to purchase some new drill bits and some new ease outs, and I was just going to work on this one broken stud. This may not work in every case, and it may not work in my case, but I felt like it was the right choice for where I'm headed right now. First of all, the truck has not been run that much with the broken stud. Second of all, it's very easy to get to. Okay, it's not easy, but it's possible to drill it out without being too contorted up under the fender well. And third, if I'm going to go to all the trouble I just described about how to get this off, I'm just going to replace the whole exhaust system, and I'm not ready to do that just yet. So with that line of thinking in mind, I got online and I bought a couple of new drill bits because trying to drill studs with with old drill bits is just not a good thing to do. So I bought some 1/8 inch and 1/16 inch brand new drill bits just to make my life easier. And I already have some ease outs, but I decided just to go ahead and buy a new set of ease outs because I'm waiting on drill bits anyway, and I like new tools. Not exactly, but there's a lot of engineering goes into the new tools that I see out there, and they seem to have a better success rate than my old ease outs. So the following day, the new drill bits and ease outs arrived, and I was able to get up under the fender well with a 90-degree drill and drill out the stud. This is the picture of the success that I had. You can see I missed it. The first try I was a little low and off center, so I backed up and did it again, and I got it really straight, and it worked great. I was not able to film myself drilling this out because, as you can imagine, it was pretty much all me and elbows and hands up in there with a drill trying to drill this stud. So after getting the stud drilled out 1/8 of an inch, I was able to get the ease out in there, and first of all tried with the smaller ease out, and I could not get it to bite into the stud. It just kept stripping out. So I drilled up to 1/8 inch, and I was able to get the larger ease out to bite into the stud. And when it came out, it actually came out very, very easy. Once the ease out bit into the stud, it started threading out just like trying to turn a regular bolt, just really small increments. I could only go about 1/8 of a turn at a time, but it eventually came out and got easier and easier coming out. Spraying a little bit of WD-40 in there and then just working it out. It just eased that broken stud right out of that aluminum block. Now you'll notice I did put on gloves here because I ended up getting a metal filing. I don't know, it must have been a drill filing off of somewhere when I was doing that, and it stuck in my hand. I had to go get that dug out. But now that I have the gloves on, I just keep working it, and it comes on out. Hopefully you can make out from this video that this is the only stud that's really accessible. The others are all down below the frame or behind the shock tower. There's just no access at all. This motor sits right between the frame mounts, and you cannot get to the exhaust. So very tough to pull off that exhaust manifold. And right about here, I was breathing a real sigh of relief and just going, whew, just to myself. It made it very simple that it came out. Now I just needed to clean out the hole, spraying some WD-40 up in there, and then spraying it out with air to get it all cleaned up, and then running the new stud back in there, getting it torqued down. While I was here, I did want to take the time to check the spark plug boot, make sure it was in good shape. I did get a little bit of scorching on there, maybe, I don't know, just exhaust gas blowed out on it that turned it black there. You can see I have replaced the spark plugs on this motor about 30,000 miles ago, so there shouldn't be any issues with what's there, but just checking it out, cleaning it up as well while I'm there. And now it's just a matter of threading the new stud into the hole. The threads were in really good shape. I did put a little bit of anti-seize on the new stud so it would go into the aluminum block that much easier and maybe come out again later, because again, I'm not real sure this fix that I'm doing of replacing this stud is going to be the last time I'm here. I don't know that it's actually going to work. If it breaks the new stud eventually, maybe right back in here. So I want it to come out easier. So it goes back together really easy. The threads are really nice and clean. Just running it in with a little 1/4 inch ratchet till it bottoms out, and then I'm torquing it to using an inch pound to torque the stud in to 120 inch pounds, which is roughly right at 20 foot-pounds. So I'm going to torque this the stud, I'm going to torque it in there at 240 inch-pounds. Then I'm going to turn around and torque the nut at its required torque. Now that the stud's installed, I ran the nut up with the same 1/4 inch ratchet. Then I am now torquing the nut to the required torque specs, which I'll throw up here. And while I was in there, I thought I'd try to just ensure the torque was correct on these other, the nuts that I could actually get to, which you can see here, it wasn't really possible to do. I do come back a little bit later with some extensions, but you know, and I torqued them, but it's not the best way to torque some nuts with wobble sockets and extensions hanging out a long ways. Now that it's all torqued down, the battery's hooked back up, the only thing left to do is to start this thing and see if the exhaust leak went away, which it actually worked really well. So I'm just going to let this run for a little bit and let you listen to it. I was so happy that this actually stopped the exhaust leak and worked that I just decided to call it a night. And I closed the garage door, turned out the lights, and went inside the house and left the camera running, so it actually finally ran out of battery or filled the video card up and stopped recording. Anyway, that's just the nature of trying to do this. You forget things from time to time about the camera running. And the next morning, it was all just about sticking the inner fender back in there, getting it all snapped in, replacing the broken plastic retainers, putting in the little metal screws that held the inner fender in, snapping in the outer plastic flare, putting those on, getting the wheel on, and the truck was all good to go again. Now, I do want to say this is not the best way to fix it. Obviously, the best way would have been to figure out how to get the exhaust manifold out, replace the gasket. That's what I'd recommend for anybody else doing this. I just did this because it's my truck, right? I'm not a professional mechanic. I'm just a guy that does this kind of on the side, that I like to tinker with my vehicles. And it's worked for me. I'll let you know how it goes in the future, how long it lasts. Right now, I'm at about 180,000. If I can get another 20, 30,000 out of it, I'll be happy. If it pops that stud again, or another stud, I'll just have to step back and rethink it, and get a whole exhaust kit, and then try to figure out how people do this. They have to lift that whole engine up in the engine bay just to get the exhaust manifolds. I'll put headers on. Those guys really got to want headers bad, and I really don't want anything like that. I just like my truck to run and to be dependable. So with all that, I want to thank you for watching the video, and I'll be back again with some more. Hopefully I'll be able to do some road trips and things like that. It seems like all I've done lately is work on things, but it's really just a matter of getting it recorded and getting it posted up. I do appreciate you guys watching. Let me know if there's anything you're interested in seeing or anything you think I could have done differently. Thanks again.